Payback's finally upon us. It's almost that time this year. We're returning to the All-State Arena in Chicago. The All-State Arena in Chicago, so expect CM Punk chance to dominate the show. And then wait for Stephanie to kill the momentum afterwards. Okay, so starting this off, we're going to talk about the pre-show first. It's going to be Kalisto versus Ryback for the United States Championship. And what's the build-up? It's nothing. The build-up's nothing. There's no build-up. It's just Ryback beat Kalisto on SmackDown for no reason after the WrestleMania match. And coincidentally, Ryback complained about being on the pre-show, and now he's going to be on the pre-show again with Kalisto. And I'm expecting to have the same results from their WrestleMania match. It's not going to be memorable. It's not going to be impressive. Like the first time, it was new, something fresh, but ultimately, it's not going to get that magic again. So yeah, it's going to be expected not to do much. So that's pretty much it for Kalisto and Ryback. There's been no build-up. Now, the second part of this video, I'll get to that after I finish the first part of the build-up, because, like, the other one's part of the show, but, yeah. Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, after Baron Corbin won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which was either should have been him or Mark Henry as Mark Henry's final run, since this has been said to be his last WrestleMania according to sources. So yeah, felt like that should have been either Mark Henry or New Guy's night. On the night after WrestleMania, Dolph Ziggler attacked faced Baron Corbin in a double countout, and Baron Corbin took the fight to Ziggler and knocked him out at the end of days on the matted floor. And then over the few weeks for the build-up for Payback, it's been mostly Baron Corbin dominating, and then finally on the final Raws, Dolph Ziggler finally got some payback over him, and there was a Damien Sandow sighting. Look, it's Damien Sandow! Really? Where? He's gonna have a match! Yay! Never mind. Oh. So, yeah. And so, like, yeah, I would have loved to see Damien Sandow get a few punches at Baron Corbin, but nah, I'm alright with this. So, Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin, I'm going to guess Baron Corbin's going to get the win because his biologic dictates, though something wouldn't surprise me if Dolph Ziggler wins because Vince and Dunn hate NXT. There, I wouldn't be surprised. So, yeah. So that's pretty much the big build. So I'm expecting hopefully Baron Corbin wins and then moves on to do something else. I don't know what, though something tells me he's going to fight Dolph Ziggler at Extreme Rules since they're not that far apart from each other throughout May. So there's a chance we might see a rematch. Next on the list is Enzo Amore, Big Cass, also known as Colin Cassidy, versus the Vaudevillains, Aiden English and Simon Gotch. And before I get into that build, I'm going to go on a brief tangent here. There was an incident apparently with Linda Garcia. I think I pronounced that name wrong. Linda Garcia. It was said that she got heat backstage from management because she called Colin Cassidy by Colin Cassidy and not Big Cass. Really? Really? That's warrant an argument over? You're not supposed to do that even though his name is Colin Cassidy. We want to call him Big Cass because Enzo Amore calls him Big Cass. So, that's his name. And I'm thinking, you did not watch NXT, did you? You just heard what these guys were and then just say, throw them on there. Like, you don't, like, that just makes me say there's two separate worlds going on. Like, okay. Now, back to the build-up. The Vaudevillains and Enzo Amore versus Colin Cassidy happened because it was part of a tag team tournament for the tag team championships, and the New Day is not going to participate in a match at Payback, surprisingly. So, don't expect a match from them, though we might see them after the tag team match. And they might do something to either be heels or faces, I don't know. So, or commentator. So, Yeah, expecting expectations. But there was a tag team tournament. The Usos, the Social Outcasts, Goldust and Fandango, the Vaudevillains, Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy, the Ascension, the Lucha Dragons, and the Dudley Boys. And ultimately, it went to the Vaudevillains and Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. So we're gonna expect a NXT style match. Like the whole show is basically NXT Invasion, pretty much. I'm calling it NXT Takeover Payback, since most of the matches involve an NXT or Triple H guy, and versus a Vince McMahon guy or gal. So yeah. Uh, so I'm hoping for a good match out of Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy versus the Vaudevillains. That was pretty much it for that build. Like, they didn't really have that much interaction. Like, they interacted on SmackDown a bit in a confrontation, and then interacted on Raw with the New Day, which was funny, but not enough to warrant, like, it's just this tag team tournament alone is the build up for it. So we have next on the list is Charlotte versus Natalya for the women's championship. Okay, so Charlotte has just recently won big WrestleMania moment for her with the women's title, and is going to face Natalya as her first challenger. And she decides to even the playing field by getting Bret Hart to join her. And an interview broke out a few days after this announcement that Bret Hart said, "I have no desire to be at Payback whatsoever." And he said he'll be there for Natalya, but overall, he says he doesn't want to be there, so there goes a motivating factor to even care about this match. Like, if he doesn't want to watch this match, then why should the audience? So, yeah. So, I'm expecting a technical match. Like, I get the feeling WWE just saw one match, just one, between Charlotte and Natalya and says, "Okay, we gotta do that. Charlotte pair her with Ric Flair on the main roster. Natalya, keep referencing Bret Hart and the Hart family." That is clearly what happened in NXT, so we're gonna go with it. Because it stopped being about the women's title, like it was sort of, but it got treated as a secondary. This was a battle between families, and like, I'm just thinking, yeah, you just watched one match between them and thought that was it. Like, that was the story. That, like, it wasn't a tournament. It was a big story that happened in NXT that you didn't catch up about. Yeah, like some things like this kind of piss me off a bit, because it's just like, you do realize developmental brand NXT. There was a reason why Ric Flair and Natalya and Bret Hart were there. They were just there to support their daughters, or niece, or wait, a family member, since her niece, I think that's Bret Hart's niece. I keep trying to keep track of all this. Um, support their family, and like the and like WWE seemed to not know, got the memo that, oh wait, a tournament happened in NXT. Then why are these two legends involved? Because they wanted to be there to support their family. Nah, that's clearly a reason. This is clearly a battle between families. Let's treat the women's title as a secondary option, just an extra ante up to it. Let's make this about the family. So yeah, that's what I get the feeling WWE did. They didn't care, so they just said, "We saw that one match, it was awesome. Let's just do that," because that's pretty much a repeated formula now. So, but anyways, I am hoping for a good match between Charlotte and Natalya, and with the women's division now being treated more seriously, I'm hoping for at least a 10-minute matchup. I'm not expecting 20 minutes because, well, this isn't NXT, so, or TakeOver. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for Charlotte and Natalya. And now we have The Miz versus Cesaro for the Intercontinental Championship. Okay, The Miz, I don't know why, regained the Intercontinental title from Zack Ryder after his big WrestleMania moment the night after WrestleMania, which makes you question, why didn't you just let Miz win? Oh no, wait, there's a reason. You see, we need to get Marissa back. So, yeah, let's do that. So now Miz's wife is involved with this angle, and they kind of been doing well with the Intercontinental title, but I'm just not really invested as much lately because the Intercontinental title has been a hot potato competition. Like, first it was with Kevin Owens, then it was like after Daniel Bryan was forced to vacate it, it went to Ryback, then it went to Kevin Owens, then it went to Dean Ambrose, back to Kevin Owens, now to Zack Ryder, and now to The Miz, and that makes you say, well, what's the point in carrying out the belt if the WWE clearly doesn't care about it? Like, Cesaro, he would be an awesome champion, but the title is not really worth as much since, well, it was being hot potatoed everywhere for the last couple of months since the summer of 2015. So, I kind of was. So The Miz and Cesaro start trading movie quotes. Cesaro's become James Bond pretty much. He's become a Swiss version of James Bond. Like, it's clearly obvious from his entrance to the suit and tie, ripping it apart, revealing his wrestling gear, and The Miz is quoting the Taken. I will fight. I have a very particular set of skills I have acquired over a long period of time. Like, yeah, he went there, and Cesaro quotes Rowdy Piper's movie. I never watched that movie, so I don't know which movie he's talking about. All I know is it's a Rowdy Piper movie that was sort of based off the Terminator, I think, and kind of Duke Nukem, because they talk about bubblegum and how he's all out of gum, and Duke Nukem did that, so I'll just assume they mixed the two. Sorry, I really don't know. So, there wasn't really much big build. Like, The Miz and Cesaro traded insult after insult, and then The Miz attacked Cesaro, and Cesaro got the upper hand with the uppercut, so expect Cesaro to lose this match. So don't be mad, but I have heard good news. Please listen. Good news is, Vince McMahon finally believes! He finally believes in Cesaro! And it's now giving him the biggest push he can give him. Well, besides Bray Wyatt scheduled for a big push after he comes back from injury. There's Brock Lesnar, then John Cena, who's going to bury everybody afterwards. There's also Roman Reigns, there's AJ Styles. Then afterwards we got Dean Ambrose to do something. Then we got Seth Rollins and Randy Orton coming back in a few months. So we'll give him the best push we can give him with this current development. So, yeah, Cesaro's finally going to get a big push. Thank you! Finally, Vince is making a good decision. I wonder how long it took for him to realize that, or did Triple H have to knock some sense into him? Please say yes. So, that's pretty much it for Miz and Cesaro. I don't think Cesaro's going to win this match, considering how Raw, and since Cesaro's been on the upper hand of The Miz, so, yeah. Now we have what was originally going to be a WrestleMania match turned into Payback. Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho. And this feud happened not because for the Intercontinental title like it was originally planned to be. It's because Shane McMahon canceled the highlight reel and traded it for the Ambrose Asylum. And I was thinking to myself, you guys squandered a big opportunity there. It should have been called Ambrose Alley. Like, Rowdy Piper gave the best name for Ambrose's segment, call it Ambrose Alley. That would have been awesome. But no, you just called it the Ambrose Asylum. That's a place. I get the Ambrose Alley's a place, but like they could do segments where Ambrose doing talk shows in an alleyway because, well, he's that much of a lunatic. So really, they could have done that. And they didn't, so Chris Jericho got pissed off at that and was threatening to bury Ambrose. And then, like, over the weeks, like, then Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho's feud got involved with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's feud, which I'll talk about in a moment. Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho traded a couple of victories back and forth in tag team matches. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho beat Sami Zayn and Dean Ambrose on SmackDown, and they hugged afterwards, which was just hilarious. It makes you say, yeah, Kevin Owens, you're cool. Like, that was cool. Because everything Kevin Owens does is awesome. So, yeah. And then on the final Raw for Payback, Chris Jericho got the upper hand over Dean Ambrose, and then cut a promo saying that every guy that steps into the ring with me is immediately elevated to the top tier echelon. And I'm thinking, did you just say what everyone assumes that Cena believes? That everyone who works with him is elevated, and just because you beat them, therefore they're elevated, but then you're screwed over afterwards? I get the feeling that line should have been saved for Cena if he ever decided to play an arrogant heel, where he acts like Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Like, that's the only reason why I think the NWO hasn't also worked, because Hulk Hogan was being himself, was an egocentric politician. So, yeah. But that's a completely different story. So, Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose, they're going to most likely be the third or fourth match that steals the show. If Charlotte and Natalya are able to get enough good quality and become the third match to steal the show. Now we have the final two matches that are potential to be show stealers. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. The biggest match everyone's been wanting to see, and the match that everyone says should have been at WrestleMania. And for some reason, they took a back burner to Dean Ambrose and Chris Jericho's feud. Why? This is clearly your biggest feud and lucrative idea. Lucrative money here. Like, big money is here. So, why settle for Chris Jericho, Dean Ambrose? I'm like, yeah, it's a good feud, but Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, they're destined to fight forever. Like, for the last couple of weeks, they've been on the back burner, and then they started to treat it seriously when there was only 2 weeks left after till Payback happened. So there was a hard time to get invested until you saw this awesome video of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's history together over the last decade. Like, it's awesome. So why couldn't this be conveyed through the mic? Like, or interviews? Like, it started because Kevin Owens attacked Sami Zayn the night after WrestleMania. Well, this feud's been building since NXT last year. Well, since after our Evolution happened, and then it's been building up after that, so they're going to finally do a match at Payback, like they did a match at two NXT TakeOver events, Unstoppable and Rival, not in correct order. And Sami Zayn got injured, then they're finally going to do another rematch, and it's going to be a Payback. Like they did a match at WrestleMania in a ladder match, but that was a 7-man ladder match and not your Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens singles match. So this also really this in my opinion should have been for the IC title, since really, like, if you could put in Cesaro, but ultimately Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens should have had the Intercontinental title, and Cesaro should have done something with The Miz, because The Miz is saying that all of them blah 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 blah. Miz says, when my hand goes up, your mouth goes shut thing, and comments about Cesaro's fans and saying how he doesn't have it, he's boring, he doesn't have charisma, he doesn't have personality. Basically, everything Vince thinks Cesaro is through The Miz, and that would have been a great feud for that. But no, they had to put in the IC title. So I felt like Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens should have been given the IC title, because then that would have brought up the level of prestige to a grand level, to a grand panel. So yeah. So Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, that's most likely going to be the match that steals the show, unless the main event beats the show. Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles. It happened when AJ Styles won the Fatal 4-Way match between Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens, and Cesaro, and him, after the night after WrestleMania, after he lost to Chris Jericho, which I still say should have been the other way around, but 50-50 booking has to happen. And then Roman Reigns that same night said, like, I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy, and repeated it over and over and over, and it's very slow burn heel turn. That's what I get the feeling of. And they mostly been trading Mike back and forth until the final Raw, but the one element that got really interesting was Luke Gallows, or Doc Gallows if you want to call him that still, and Carl Anderson making their big debut attacking the Usos, and everyone assumed, oh, they're going to attack Roman Reigns next. Oh, they attacked Roman Reigns. That was kind of obvious. but it's Roman Reigns, so let's hate on him. So let them beat him up. Yeah, he deserves it because he's doing as he's told. So that was the big wild card put in. Like Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows got involved in the main event feud, and they attacked the Usos, then beat them in a and a one-sided affair match. Like the Usos got some fight left. I feel like Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows re-debut and debut match should have happened at Payback, not wasted on Raw. Like it could have been a squash match, but they have the Usos, so they're the Cenas of the division. So let's make them look strong a little bit instead of a powerful squash match. To say something about these new big predators. And this also has been referencing Bullet Club on Twitter, where they reference their time in New Japan Pro Wrestling, saying how AJ Styles buddies with them. And then Roman Reigns went on Twitter saying, I don't need a club to defeat you. I don't need a club to back me up. It's one versus all that gimmick stuff. So they're referencing Bullet Club. There's room now. The big wild card is that the Bullet Club, is it going to form at Payback? Is it going to form at Extreme Rules? Who's going to be the leader? Who's the third guy? And there are three main contenders who all been rumored that to be the main contender for the leadership of Bullet Club. It's AJ Styles, who has a friendship with them in storyline, Finn Balor, who recently lost the NXT title to Samoa Joe and has been hinting for months and months and months that he was going to form Balor Club. And the surprise factor is possibly Roman Reigns, who's been on a slow burn heel turn. And everyone's been clamoring for that. So, those are three factors. So, and then they kind of spoiled a bit of it, since I know, yeah, they're going to get involved, but they really should have kept that a secret to get our hopes up a bit for one-on-one fight, even though we kind of knew it was coming. But then they just basically said, yeah, they're going to get involved, when I think it was Carl Anderson that says, hey, we're bros for life. And then I was like, oh dear God, they're going to screw AJ Styles out of that match. I just know it. Well, here's to hoping for at least good 20 minutes of action. Like, that's how much I'm expecting. At least 20 minutes of action. And then bring in the interferences and potential swerve. So, Roman Reigns versus AJ Styles finally got physical on the final Payback, on the final Raw Payback, where AJ Styles and Roman Reigns kind of traded fists after Bullet Club got involved, or the Bullet Duo, as I like to call them, still for a bit, till I find otherwise too. And AJ Styles tried to stop them. Roman Reigns Superman punched him. Then they got into a fight, and AJ Styles did the phenomenal forearm and got a one up over Roman Reigns, and everyone cheered for that. So, yeah, Roman Reigns is going to retain, especially since it's only been a month and they already had plans for John Cena versus Roman Reigns. So we can only know what's going to happen at Payback. Is Roman Reigns turning heel? Is AJ Styles turning heel? Is Finn Balor going to make his debut and make it be a heel? Like, that's going to be the big mystery going on. Are they going to form Bullet Club around one of these three guys? I really honestly don't care who. I would say Roman Reigns, but I could get why people would be mad at that, because they'll just say, oh, you're just using Bullet Club to further showcase Roman Reigns. Even though everyone's kind of been wanting him to form a heel faction where he's the WWE champion and has a faction to back him up, and, well, then there's this, and now people don't want it anymore. So, the final part is now Shane McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, and Triple H over the control of WWE Raw. It's finally going to be decided by Vince McMahon. And there's just one teeny, tiny problem. This storyline shouldn't even be happening. Shane lost at WrestleMania to The Undertaker, and not only did you cement Undertaker as Vince's bitch for life, but you kind of made the match pointless since Shane McMahon's been controlling Raw for the last 4 weeks. Now you're going to say, oh, well, it's going to be officially decided here because he was always the general manager for the last 4 weeks. He was never because of the social media outcry. And I was like, no. Like, okay, I get Vince didn't want to be upstage, so he gave him control of night for that one night, but then shouldn't the board of directors have gotten involved since they have more power over the chairman and CEO, since they kind of make the leadership decisions over the leader. Like the leader controls everything else, but then the board of directors can control the leader. So why didn't the board of directors get involved and say, well, due to the high ratings, high advertisements, high publicity we've been getting under Shane's rule of WWE Monday Night Raw, we're going to make Shane McMahon our the leader of Raw. The authority is officially out of power here. They could run SmackDown, but ultimately Shane McMahon is running Raw. And that should have been the storyline. Now it's up to Vince to decide it, and that's where the problem lies. It makes no sense. It has no purpose. It shouldn't have happened if Shane McMahon beat The Undertaker. And even if Shane beat The Undertaker, Shane McMahon could just revoke the decision and just let Undertaker still wrestle at WrestleMania since he controls Raw, because they have said over and over, he who controls Raw basically controls the WWE. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that big storyline they're doing. This was my thoughts on Payback. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate, and stay tuned for more.